What I am attracted to HYROX about and for is I have found that it does really favor a background and foundation of running, or at least cardiovascular conditioning and aerobic foundation, because it's a big aerobic race. I mean, you have 8K of running, 1K of ski, 1K of row. You're doing these functional movements, but like it will play to a strength of aerobic capacity. And I believe and I know that I have a strong foundation there. And there's also a strength element involved in this sport, this competition, that I also believe I have a strength in. Now it's going to be refining those two modalities and strengths of fitness to compete in this race. But it does seem to fit right in the middle of endurance and running and strength and conditioning and power output and muscular endurance. It's right there in the middle, which seems like a perfect setup for what I love to do. What I also love, and I've heard a lot of the pros talk about this, and I've reached out to some of these pros. For example, Hunter McIntyre has been in this space for a while, and I believe he has the world record and does amazing things in this sport and trains really, really hard. I reached out to Hunter to come down to Texas, and when he has the opportunity, come on the podcast, teach me how to train in a way that's going to benefit me for HYROX. And I just want to learn from him. I want to learn from people who are and have been in this sport and are doing it well. Because again, I want to be a student and I want to learn from people who are doing it at a high level and doing it very well and have been doing it for a significant amount of time, or at least as popular as this sport has been in the last couple of years. And what I've heard a lot of these pros talk about as I've listened to some of their content or podcasts, race recaps, and just watched from a distance how they're training, what they're doing. There's so many different ways to train for this competition in this sport. I mean, you can include a broad range of different cardiovascular conditioning exercise. You can do different volumes and intensities of running and cycling, rowing, ski erg, all of these things. Like the goal is to build that aerobic capacity. There's many ways to do that. And there's many ways to build strength and what exercises you're focused on, whether that's your traditional multi-joint compound movements in the gym, like barbell squats, bench press, shoulder press, deadlifts, or really like just focusing and refining the functional movements that you're going to be doing come race day. And then finding a way to fit in some of this more intense, higher end, anaerobic capacity work, threshold work of these circuits. And a lot of the ones that I've been doing recently, where it's above your aerobic zone 2, zone 3 conditioning, and it pulls all of these different aspects of training together to work more threshold level in capacity. So there's so many different ways to train. There's not like this blueprint. There's not this playbook. There's many different ways to approach this. And that gets me super excited, because me personally, I was also thinking about this in my run this morning. I like working with a coach when there's predictability in the workouts. Like I love working with Jeff because I know the way Jeff works, and it's very collaborative. And I look forward to these different track workouts or tempo workouts or just mile accumulation, but they're pretty predictable. There's only so many ways to cut and sew a marathon prep, if you will. And I love working with a coach like Jeff for a prep like a marathon. But I like having control over my training. I don't like working with coaches personally where The workouts, the prep, it's unpredictable. I like being very involved in the process. So for this event itself, this HYROX, I will not be working with a coach one-on-one. I will be reaching out to and learning from and having lots of conversations from people in the sport. I will definitely be doing that. For example, next week, there is a really talented US rower coming in, and she is teaching me how to improve my rowing form and efficiency and output on the rower itself. I've spent more time on the rower these last couple of weeks. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable, but I would love to learn from someone who is an expert in rowing to teach me how I can get better, what I can learn, and then I'll be sharing all of those tips and tricks and cues with you guys. So if you are rowing or you want to get better at rowing, you can then implement all of those things as well. So that's why I've decided to compete in HYROX come November. All of those things is why I want to do it. And it feels like just the right time for me. A lot of these decisions are just based off of gut intuition and a feeling. And what's been really fun that I honestly did not expect to happen, but now that it is, like it's very, very rewarding. So when I announced that I was doing this race, I obviously told the entire BPN team, and we opened it up to the BPN team. A lot of the guys and girls here are going to be going to Dallas with us in November to compete. So not everyone, but a lot of people are training for it right now. So we use Slack in our business for communication. And in Slack, I will put in the general Slack thread, I'll put the workouts that I'm doing for the week, or I'll write them in the board in the gym. And then the team will do that. They'll do that before work. They'll do it after work. They'll do it on the weekends. They'll either do it solo, with a partner, in groups. And it's been really fun and cool to see going into the gym after work and seeing groups of people pulling the ski erg, the rower, the wall balls, kettlebells, the sled out, setting it up to do stations and hitting a workout together. And just bringing people together with a workout in fitness and seeing people really push themselves and then write their time or the round to do on the board after they're done. That's been really cool to see from a team's perspective.